Hello pilots, this is Better Call Lew. This is episode 2, and I have some more of your questions from episode 1. Should we get into it? If you never became a pilot, what career path would you have pursued? Probably would have been an actor. I was always interested in drama and that in school. Yeah, I'd probably be an actor. How come you're not a commercial pilot? I am a commercial pilot. I've had my commercial certificate since 2016. I think what you're trying to ask is why am I not at an airline? And all I have to say to that at the moment is stay tuned. How's the ATR to fly? The ATR, this might be controversial because I always talk smack about high-wing aircraft, but the ATR is quite possibly the favourite aircraft of mine that I've ever flown. It was so much fun to fly. When I was at an airline, for those that don't know and didn't watch the first episode, I used to be at an airline, small regional here in Florida that is now no longer with us. Rest in peace, Silver Airways. They have ceased operations. They are gone. But while I was there, we flew ATRs, and it was just so much fun. I always enjoyed the crew aspect of things, and the ATR was very much, or is very much, a crew aircraft. Like, it takes two people to operate it. When are you coming to get your tailwheel endorsement? That's something that I want to do. I want to do my tailwheel, and I also want to do my seaplane. Best tips to set yourself up for success before starting private pilot? That is a really good question. In this day and age, you have so many resources available online, free resources available, videos or study material, using all of those to your advantage. So even before going in for your PPL, make sure to watch some videos, see what to expect. Watch a discovery flight. There's plenty of them on my channel. Watch an actual first flight lesson. Plenty of them on my channel. Watch how to land an aeroplane. There's plenty of those on my channel. Watch how to do stalls, slow flights, steep turns, emergency procedures. There's plenty of those on my channel. What I'm trying to tell you here is that you should watch LewDix Aviation before your PPL, and you're going to go in pretty well prepared. When you're just starting, how long should you be with an instructor before going out on your own? And I'm assuming that you mean for flying solo. When you get the sense that the instructor is just in that right seat with you, just being a statue, that is when you start to know that you're kind of getting ready to get rid of them, get out the plane. I am not one that likes to put a time limit on people having to solo within a certain number of hours. Everybody is different. One of my least favourite questions when people are starting out is, when do you think I'll solo? Well, that's up to you. On your skill level, on your proficiency level, and how quickly you show me that you don't need me in that aeroplane. I'll just be sat there as the flight instructor, and I'll be thinking to myself, like, they're landing well, landing on the center line nice and smooth, doing all the maneuvers that I'm asking them to do really nicely, talking to air traffic control, seeing aircraft, other traffic in the air before I'm seeing them. When I start to feel like I'm stealing money from the student, that's how I know that it's time for me to get out. Yeah, you'll know, but what I would say is don't put a time limit on yourself. Everybody learns at different paces. There'll be a time where it all just clicks and you start to feel ready. That instructor will step out of the plane for that first time, and they'll close that door. You'll be taxiing out and you'll be feeling like, oh my God, I'm about to fly this airplane on my own. But then you'll get going and you'll realize that you're just going through all the procedures that you've been going through with the instructor there. And you'll start to see that, oh, I don't actually need them, because I do know what I'm doing. I know it's a meme and all, but why do you like the PA-28 more than the Cessna 172? I find both really comparable in handling, and in the hot weather in Florida, the Cessna 172 gets more points for having a better cabin airflow. That's 100% true. Whoever designed where the air vents are in a Piper Cherokee needs to be lined up on a wall and give them a smack bottom. It's down near your ankles. You open up a vent near your ankles and it cools your ankles. The one good point about 172 is that you get that airflow to your face. But why do I like the PA-28 over the 172 is simple. While I'm with students in a PA-28, it is such a more forgiving aircraft in maneuvers, so much better for landings. And also the view out of it is just so much better with it being a low wing. Have you ever had to tell a student that they should consider a different pursuit? Asking for a friend who hasn't soloed at 50 hours. Okay, I'll tell you a little story. The place that I first started my instruction journey was a flight school, and it turned out to be a little bit sour because the flight school, the owner, was essentially just taking money off students. There was this one guy, had upwards of 60 hours of flight time, and the owner said, I want you to fly with him, I want you to get him through to solo, he's got over 60 hours and blah, 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 he's not soloed. So I was like, okay, so I'm expecting to get in and this guy be the worst pilot ever. But to my surprise, I got in, and within 2 sessions I got him soloed, which led me down the rabbit hole of thinking, well, why was he not good with the owner of the company, and why was he not ready to go? And that over time I started to see that this guy is holding people back from soloing and progressing on so he can milk them. That's what flight schools like to do. They like to milk people. It's getting weird. So even though your friend might be at 50 hours, I don't know, maybe they ask for a second opinion. Have I ever had to tell somebody that flying isn't for them? Not really. I've told people in the past that they cannot continue to work with me if they don't get their act together. One of the things that I really dislike the most seeing in students is lack of ambition, lack of taking control of their own training, expecting the instructor to do the work for them. Flight training is a team game. It takes the instructor's knowledge to pass it along and techniques and stuff like that, and it takes the instructor to be a good person and to be there to take care of the student, both with knowledge, skills, and also taking care of the wallet as well. I think that's a big thing. But then it's the student's job to come into every single session prepared, over-prepared, not just doing the bare minimum to try and scrape by, because you're not being a good pilot if that's what you're trying to do, just trying to scrape by. And there's been a few people over the years that have tried to scrape by. There was one guy I remember at that, well, two actually, at that place that I used to work at. I was kind of just dreading flying with, really. And luckily for me, one of them at one point was actually leaving, so I don't have to say anything, do anything, bye-bye. There was another fella that I do remember saying, I said, listen, if you're not going to study, we're not going to fly. Don't know how that turned out, because I left fairly quickly after saying that. What would you score on your private pilot written, and do DPEs make the oral harder if you score lower? Oh, that is a great question. I can't remember what score I got on my PPL. That used to be the tale, that you got told that if you did poorly on your written, the oral was going to be a lot harder. In my experience, that's not been the case. I know a guy that got like just over a 70%, which is just over the passing grade for the PPL. I was quietly expecting the phone call from the instructor saying that he's absolutely bombed his oral because he was just getting bombarded by the DPE, but apparently the DPE was pretty light. Here's the thing with it. So whatever you need work on from your written exam, you obviously go through and do remedial training with your instructor. So those gaps in knowledge are kind of closed, and then obviously it's up to the DP to make sure that you've closed those gaps, but I don't necessarily think it makes it harder. I used to think that, but from experience, no. If anybody's watching this and their experience has been different because they got a low score, please let us know in the comments. Where's the accent from? From Bolton in England. I was in Golden Corral once, and I was at the meat carvery place, and the guy goes, oh, you got an accent? Yeah, just cut the meat. So where are you from? Are you from London or from England?
What an idiot.
I just wanted some prime rib. I wasn't trying to get into a geography lesson with the guy at Golden Corral. There was another guy that I used to work with. I used to work at GameStop. That was like my first proper job. One of the guys that I worked with there, he said, I didn't know there was African Americans in England. What the fuck? I don't know if that's racist. I don't know if he genuinely thinks all people of color are African Americans. I don't know. But it was shocking. And that's going to do it for this episode of Better Call Lew. Some decent questions there. Some very, very cool questions. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, I would love to answer them in the next episode of Better Call Lew. If we can continue this series, get your comments in, get your questions in, and we'll see if we can make another episode. Thank you so much for watching Better Call Lew, and I'll see you next time.